Hey, what's up everybody? It's Christian with Reaper Disc, and today I'm out on the practice field and I'm going to break down a kind of a newer topic that's beginning to sprout up all over the place, and that is ranging. So what exactly is ranging? Ranging is a term that's been brought over more or less from traditional ball golf. And it starts off with, what golfers consider getting your stock yardage or your distances or any other plethora of terminology for judging how far a shot goes with a specific club. All of the professional golfers out there, they have a range sheet that has how far they hit their driver, how far they hit their 3-wood, how far they hit their 7-iron, their 50-degree wedge, their 58-degree wedge, things like that. That way, whenever they get out on the course, they laser a distance. Okay, the distance at this point is 180 yards. Now, okay, cool, I know 180 yards is my 6-iron. So I'm going to step up with my 6-iron with a full swing, and it's going to go 180 yards. Now, it didn't take long for that same idea to get brought over into disc golf, because it's actually completely doable, as well as something that we should all be doing in order to get better at the game, in order to be more consistent, and in order to really dial in those shots. You should know how far the disc in your bag go. It shouldn't just be I'll throw it about this hard and hope for the best. And a lot of players, honestly, they get out, range finders and things like that, and they're like, okay, cool, the basket is this far away. That's a fantastic piece of information to know. That information is also completely useless if you don't know how far your disc will travel. So today, I'm going to teach you how to do that. All right, so how we're going to go about ranging is you need a couple things. First and foremost, you need the disc that you're going to range. Today, I'm going to be ranging my Toros. And I've got a pretty good idea of where my Toros go, but I want to put a solid number on it, and this is honestly one of the easiest discs I have in my bag to range. And I have multiples. That's going to save on the amount of walking that I'm going to inevitably do, and make this a little more of a time-friendly venture that we're going to be on today. So less walking back and forth, that's more time actually spent throwing, and less time that I'm out here in the hot sun. So I have multiples. I've got 3 different Toros right here. They all fly pretty well the same. That is one thing that you're going to want, is a lot of discs that fly the same. You don't want to mix up like a super straight disc with a really overstable disc, because the distances are going to be wildly off. The second big thing that you need is a way to accurately measure your distances. I have the Bushnell Edge, and this rangefinder is really good, and I'm just going to laser it back to my cart, which is sitting right beside me where I'll be throwing. That way I know exactly how far these shots are traveling. And then after that, it's just a little bit of math work. If you don't have a rangefinder, you can use your phone on UDisc to get distances that way, or you can go the old-fashioned way and step it off. I would try to avoid that last one. It gets really tough. But between a handful of discs, a way to gauge your distances and actually measure them accurately, and a little bit of math skills, you're going to find exactly what we need to range a disc. Now, let's get into how we're actually going to do it. So, what you'll want to do is get a mini, get another disc, doesn't matter, and put it down where you're going to be throwing from. Throw from that spot every single time. That way you know that you're going to have an accurate point of measuring to. So at this point, whenever I throw, I'm going to move my cart literally on top of that mini, and then from there, I'm going to laser back to my cart and know exactly where I'm throwing from and exactly how far it is from where the disc landed to where I threw from, and then just compile all those numbers. Now, the second big thing you're going to want to do here is figure out a stock shot. and you've heard me talk about it a lot on previous videos, a stock shot is something that you can repeat time after time after time. Same power, same release angle, same nose angle, and just the disc is going to come out identical every single time. That consistency is what you really need in order to range something, because you're not going to get the same distances if you're throwing something with hyzer versus throwing something flat. Typically, especially with more overstable stuff, if you throw a disc flat, it's going to go further, whereas if you throw a hyzer, it's going to get to the ground faster and not going to go as far. That's going to throw your numbers off and things like that. So that is another thing to take note of whenever you are out actually making these throws. Make sure that if you just abhorrently shank a shot, you slip, something like that, nix that throw. Get rid of it. That way you can, from that point, start being able to get more accurate throws in. And from there, you know, throw out the bad ones and everything else, whether it's abhorrently short, like you slipped out a little and fell out of your hand and only went 100 feet, or if you accidentally put too much power into it and send it like 40 or 50 foot past everything else. That's not going to be helpful for this, and as much as you might hate to, get rid of that number, because that's not your consistent number. What we're looking for is the consistent distance that you're after and getting an average of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these toros and throw them a combined time, or a total of 15 measured throws. Out of that 15 measured throws, I'm going to add up all of the numbers and then get an average as well as a window. And I'll show you all the math here in a little bit. So let's get down to some throwing. Also, make sure you're warmed up before you start this, because you're going to notice a difference between the time that you start and the time that you stop. It's going to be even more drastic of a difference if you're throwing starting off cold versus by the time you're done, you're going to be nice and warmed up and throwing like you normally would. So get warmed up first and then start this. Now, let's get to some throws. All right, so after running some numbers, I've got the results here, and it's actually pretty interesting just how consistent this Toro really was for me. So yeah, can't wait to like show these numbers. I will say I did blow through a couple of those throw videos. Yeah, it's just gonna get, it was gonna get pretty monotonous just watching the same throws over and over and over again, so I kind of blew through them real quick. But let's get down to some numbers. So after 15 throws that were measured and ranged back, I came out with a low end throw, so the shortest distance that I have measured, so as far as like a true window, went from, on the low end, 241 feet all the way to the high end of 277 feet. That means every single measurement was somewhere in that range. Now that's gonna be the spread that we're looking at, and that spread came out to 36 feet. So over a course of 15 throws, trying to get as repeatable as absolutely possible, I had a range of about 36 feet that I was, you know, getting into, which all things considered isn't terrible. I really want to narrow that window down, and that's something that a lot of people really need to start working on if you want your upshot game to really be elite, is shrinking that spread to be a fraction of that. I want my spread at 250 feet to be like 15 feet or less. Realistically, I want every shot that I put up to be within 15 feet of a given distance. But, you know, 36, it's okay. That's giving me something to work on. And that was honestly one outlier shot that I arguably should have gotten rid of, and I'll get to that in a second. Well, honestly, without that outlier shot, my next longest throw was 262. So there's an extra 15 feet off right there without the one outlier shot that arguably I should have rethrown. my spread is down to 21. So 21 foot spread realistically without the outlier. So that's okay, that's fine. And my actual medium, my average for the range came out to 252 feet. So on average, my throws that I was doing there, over all 15 of them were going 252 feet, which means now I know out on the course when I laser a distance, I know that my stock shot with a Toro goes 250 almost to the penny, give or take a couple feet. I would say give or take 10 on either side to account for that 20 foot total spread. So realistically, I can expect my Toro on a stock shot to land anywhere from 240 to 260, and the numbers, they back that up. Now, I can even go down so far because I did keep track of which distance went with which disc. And I have a Glow Champ Toro, a what is it? Luster Champion Metal Flake, that was a mouthful. Just a Champion Toro and Star Toro. So out of those three, I actually kept track of what distances belong to which, and I can break that down even further to range the individual disc with a little less data, but still giving me a good number to go off of. So I know that my Glow Toro right here, it went an average of 250 with a 15 foot spread. So if I'm throwing this, I can count on it going realistically between 243 to 257 feet, right about there, but averaging right on 250. The Champion Toro went 253 on average, and here's where it got a little weird because I had a 35 foot spread on this. But that was because that one 277 foot outlier. You take away that outlier and take it off of there, then the spread drops down to 15 feet. So again, I can expect that to go anywhere from 245 to 270 or to 260 realistically without the one outlier shot. And my Star, which is the one I put in my bag, also averages out to 253 feet with a 15 foot spread. So again, I can expect this to go anywhere from 245 to 260 and just hang on right on that number. And realistically, that's what I do with this out on the course. If I know I'm around 250, it's a stock shot with the Toro every time. I mean, flat ground, yes. Minimal wind, yes. But regardless, in a situation on the course, that's what I'm doing. Now, you can do this with every single disc in your bag. It's gonna take a while, and it's gonna take a long time in the practice field, but you're going to really get to know your disc, and you're gonna have the numbers to be able to back that up. And then you're gonna be able to get out on the course with confidence, knowing that you can laser a distance and know exactly what disc you should pull because you know exactly how far they should go in ideal conditions. Now, you do have to think on your feet a little bit, take into consideration current conditions, your footing, your wind, temperature, everything has to be taken into account, but that gives you a basis to work from and a solid foundation to start with and really start dialing in those approaches and drives. If you're able to do that consistently, then you're gonna really start shaving strokes off of your game incredibly fast, and that's why ranging is becoming such an important part of our game. If you have a full day to get out in a practice field, dig out the disc in your bag, spend the time, and really get down and get numbers on your throws. You'll thank yourself for it later, even though you might think it's misery just sitting out in the field doing it. Just think about all of the strokes you're gonna shave off of your game and how much better you're going to get. Trust me, it's worth it. Guys, if you want to find your next easily rangeable approach disc, or any other disc for that matter, click the link in the description to this video, head on over to reaperdisc.com to find you one that would perfectly fit your game. Follow us on social media at Reaper Disc so you can keep up with all of our new releases and stock updates and things like that. Click on the subscribe button here on the channel, that way you can keep up with all of our new content that we're putting out. And again, I'm Christian with Reaper Disc. I hope this helped you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.